minutes and then I'll take some questions from all of you. So I'm going to give a very brief introduction about what startup ecosystem in India. Then I'm going to talk about a little bit what we have done, what impact we have created from Crescent Innovation Incubation Council, and what are the services and infrastructure we have, and what are the different business model we are following, and then our achievements, and then what is our sustainability plan, and so on. So in this session, you will come to know more about what is more startup, and then how you can start your startup, and then when you approach the incubation center like us, what benefit you will get. So this will be your outcome of this session. So introduction to startup ecosystem. As you know, we are the third largest global startup ecosystem. And as you see from the number of unicorns, after China and USA, India is the third one. So we have 61 unicorns. For people who are not familiar with the word unicorn, unicorn is the startup who became a $1 billion company, turnover company within 10 years. So here I also mentioned what is the average time to become a unicorn. In India, we took 6 to 8 years. So within 6 to 8 years, and company who just started as a startup with no revenue, who become a $1 billion company, approximately 7,500 crore turnover. So I can go and tell names of unicorns like Flipkart, Freshworks, Zoho, who are primarily from Tamil Nadu. So I can go on and on, and then I talk about various unicorns. But the point here is India in the last 10 decades has produced 61 unicorns, and we are going ahead on the curve. That is the message. And India with 1.3 billion population, startup and entrepreneurship is not voluntary. It is a mandatory. So that's why, if you see a country like India with large number of population, we are now trying to become a leader in the startup. And the potential going to keep increasing. In fact, many of my startups and many outsiders comes and ask me every day that what will happen to startup after this COVID. But I would say post-COVID scenario is much better than the pre-COVID scenario for startups, because startups produce a lot of frugal solutions. If you see India, we are spending only 1% in the R&D. That is the DST what we spend all put together is 1% of our GDP. Whereas a country like Israel and Korea, they spend 4% for GDP for their R&D. So India doesn't have a big money for R&D. The government, we don't have a big money. What we have is a small money, and then what we need is more a frugal solution, what we call as jugaad or workaround or whatever it is. But we need a solution at low cost. When we got this Zoom problem that the government launched in hackathon with the startups asking them to solve a video conferencing solutions. They could have hired a TCS to solve the problem, but they launched in a hackathon. Because we have only little money, and then we need to get a best solution out of it. And startups are the place where you get the frugal solutions, the best solutions at low cost. So the potential, especially after this post-COVID, the scenario where the startup solutions are required more, and it's going to grow 4x times in the next 5 years. Just to give a very quick overview, because you would have heard about this word interchangeably in many occasions, incubator and accelerator. So incubator is preferably, as the word says, it is an incubator where you nurtures, right, from zero to something. So like you often heard about a child incubator in the hospital, a premature baby will convert into a mature baby. Similarly, in incubator, a premature business adult, we will convert them into a mature business adult. That is what we do. And incubators are predominantly a not-for-profit association, preferably in the academic institution. In our case, we are Crescent University's brainchild. So the Crescent University supported academic business incubator. And incubators are typically set for early stage startups. So accelerator is the counterpart, whereas accelerator will take higher or high growth stage startups. So typically we say the difference is the incubator supports startups when they come zero with a raw idea up to when they reach rupees 2 crore sales turnover. After they reach it, we will ask the startup to go to an accelerator. Okay, so in simple terms, if you want to understand between difference between incubator and accelerator, incubator is like a UG program, whereas accelerator is like a PG program or MPhil program. So it is little higher. And incubator, you pay generally service charge, whereas in accelerator, they pay equity. The startups pay equity. So we have both incubator and accelerator connect all put together. So we have our one of our director is also running a CA accelerator. I am going to talk about it. But Crescent Innovation Incubation Council is come under incubator category. So is there incubator? So the next question is having, as I talked about in the last slide, your next question is whether incubator is really going to add value for a startup. Okay. Now incubator, let's say I have given here the statistics. Out of every 875 startups started, out of which 55 go to the incubator route and remaining 820 goes to the non-incubator route because many people are still not aware of what is incubator, how they will support. And number two is the demand. We have 40,000 plus registered startups and almost 20,000 non-registered startups. But many people, so there is no that much, incubator to serve them. So there is a supply demand issue also in incubator and incubating. But still many people still not aware of what incubator offers. So the number of people go to the incubator is very less rather than starting on their own. But if you see the result, the funding, primarily we say the success of the startup is determined to the number of rounds of funds they have raised. So if you see that the success of 20% is happens when they go to the incubator route, but if they go to the non-incubator route, they get only 7% success, which shows that the incubator adds value, number one. And number two, they say what not to do rather than what to do. It is like not reinventing the whole wheel. The startup need not to go and failure and then come back and do the lessons learned. So that is where the incubator adds a value. Now, the next question obviously comes is, will incubator helps in getting fund? So I have given you the on the bottom what are the different stages of startup, starting from idea stage, proof of concept, prototype, and up to commercial use. And on the above, I have given various funding levels, 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, and so on. So typically in the startup world, we say 3 Fs will fund. I have mentioned here in the blue color 3 Fs. So the 3 Fs is family, friend, and food. So these are the 3 Fs typically we use in the startup terminology historically. So when you have only idea, who will fund? Either your friend or your family or some fool will only fund. So this was the issue when all the startups were failing. We call this area as valley of death. So once you have a prototype and when you are in the early stage, then only the angel investors and venture capitalists will come. So this is the scenario were there for the last 10 years. But now the things is much improved. If you see the green color, whatever I mentioned is all government schemes. Here, if you see there is an entrepreneurship in residence and innovation voucher program. So starting from 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs. In fact, we are very happy to say we got 17 IVP grants from the government of Tamil Nadu. They give 2 to 5 lakh grant, and we are the number one incubator in Tamil Nadu to get such grants. So these 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, and if you see Nidhi Prayas, they gave 10 lakhs, big. In fact, I'm very glad to say we have 2 women entrepreneurs who got 2 big grants, which is 250 lakhs each. So basically, we have almost 1.5 crore government grants so far in the last 1 year. Our startup have raised. So which shows that there are a lot of opportunities. When I say grant, this is not a repayment, it is not a loan. You will get it with some conditions, means that you have to achieve the milestones. Now, one of our startup has shortlisted for Geeta grant, which is 1.5 crore. So what I'm trying to say is there are so much of avenues and opportunities. In fact, I often say colloquially that the role of the incubator is tells the startups on what temple, what time, what prasadam available for free. Because now information is people doesn't know where it is available for free and then how to reach it. So that is the Bible we have in incubator. And I'm also like to highlight that once you reach this government grant, once you reach the prototype level, and then people with a lot of money, tons of cash with the suitcase waiting. So this is the statistics I have given for the last 5 years. If you see in particularly in 2019, $9 billion of investment has been raised by only 656 startups. That shows, this is only Indian statistics. That shows that once you have the idea in place, once you start billing to the customer, so people are waiting, private investors are waiting to put money into the startup system. So money is not the main issue in the startup. Then you may be asking the next question, what is the problem? Why startups fail? So this is the top 10 reasons why startup fail. And I also given you here 45% of the startup close in the first 6 months of operations, which shows that the infant mortality is very high. Earlier failures are very high. So when we taken the statistics and analyzing what are the top 10 reasons, if you see the top 3 reasons, the first and foremost reason is no market need. So the people fail, 42% people fail because they could not capture the market need. It is not because of the innovation, it is not because of the technology. Let me take a very favorite example like Swiggy or Zomato. What is that great innovation they brought in? Everybody knows that home delivery was available during Pizza's days and Pizza Hut days, Domino's Pizza's days. Door delivery was available. When you call a phone and pizza, if you order it, the door delivery, free door delivery. Now, what Swiggy has done is they did the same thing, but predominantly people go outing for a restaurant on the weekends or weekdays. But here the scenario is they found a market need where there are lazy people who has an app who doesn't want to get out of their house and they want to order and they like to pay delivery charges. Now Swiggy and Zomato charge the delivery charges and people willing to pay. So this government grants available and then the private money available, and then why startup fail? So I said the example of Swiggy where I said that there is a need to capture the market need. So basically the startup failed because they could not capture the market need. And second most the problem is the money, and then the third most problem is the mentoring. So here if you see what we call as market, money and mentor. So these are the triple M's. So now the slides are moving, madam. Now it's too late to start. You can see the slides. Yeah. So any audience, can you confirm the slides are moving?
Yes, sir. Moving, sir. Now it's moving, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So if you see that the statistics, so the male founders and female founders break up. If you see that women founders have started coming up. In fact, the 14% is the average of the women founder, and in fact, in our incubator, the percentage is very high. It is 15. Okay, and then it is also too late to start. So it is too late to start. If you see that they know the age, if you see the average age of the founders, it is between the successful age of the founder is between 40 to 49. Okay, and in fact, we have a startup who has retired at the age of 60 and they started a startup. So, and age is also not the limit. We tend to think only youngsters starting the startup. It is not the case. So, I think many of you are from the academic background now. I want to give a little overview about what is the implementation of National Innovation Startup Policy. The Ministry of Education have recently started this policy. So here, if you see, the Ministry of Education has launched an innovation cell. It is called Ministry of Education Innovation Cell, MIC, we call MIC. And their primary purpose is to create a complete ecosystem of creating a culture of innovation across all educational institutions. So they have 5 key initiatives. It is called Smart India Hackathon, Institution Innovation Council, Atal Ranking of Institutional Innovation Achievements, and National Innovation and Startup Policy for Students and Faculty, and National Innovation Contest. I will give a very brief about all these things. So the Smart India Hackathon is started and Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated last year, and so we conduct internal hackathon at the institute level, and then we send that student teams. It is a 6-member team. consisting of one mandatory female member in the team, and then it could be any department, it could be a cross-disciplinary. And these student teams, we will select from internal hackathon from every institution, and then we send it to regional level, and then they will go to the national level. We are very glad to say last year 9 people sent it to the regional level, and then from there one team has gone to the national level. A student called Alpha Store Food, they are into some agricultural and food app created. So this is one of the primary initiatives the government is doing for students to promote innovations and startups. And this is the Atal ranking of institution innovation achievements. These somehow this slides is not visible. The certificate what we have, and the Atal ranking of institution innovation achievements gives a band A, that gives a very top rating of 6 to 25. In fact, we are very glad to say our institution, B.S. Abdul Rahman Christian University, has got into the top ranking, and also they give a 5-star rated institution. So we also got the 5-star rated institutions, and then we also listed into a Biospectrum, a leading Biospectrum life science magazine. They have ranked our incubator as a top private bio incubator. So all these certificates, all these rating shows that what is this innovation and entrepreneurship activity you are doing at the institution level. Now the government is giving a lot of push for every institutions to have their innovation incubation center. They are making it more mandatory these days. And this is the brief idea about what is this National Innovation Contest. So in fact we have 3 student startup team has been shortlisted into this contest, and they get a mentored at the national level. So this is the National Innovation and Student Startup Policy. It is launched last year in 2019. So this policy talks about the student innovation and student startup, should lead to the country's, total employment, and then which will also help improve the economy of the country. So they say 4 pillars: the higher education institutions and universities should create entrepreneurial scientists and faculty. And then they say 4 pillars: innovation development, entrepreneurship exposure and skill development, technology commercialization, and startup service support facility. So these are the 4 pillars they wanted every institution to set up. So they will create many student startup and faculty startup, which will lead to create many employment opportunities. Thereby it solve the unemployment problem of the country, and then it also improve the macroeconomy of the country. So this is the objective through this policy. This is another very quick overview about innovation voucher program given by the EDI, Tamil Nadu Entrepreneurship Development Innovation Institute. They give a 2 program. One is called Voucher A, another is called Voucher B. Voucher A is given for entry into research. They give rupees 2 lakhs grant, and Voucher B is entry into market. They give 5 lakhs grant. And this program is being launched to primarily promote MSMEs and startups by the government of Tamil Nadu. So this is the process. You should have an idea, and then once you have to collaborate with knowledge partner. In our case, Crescent Innovation Incubation Council is the empaneled knowledge partner. Then we will assign one internal professor. In our case, we assign professors from various departments as the internal mentor. Then you have to apply online, and then there will be a technical committee and steering committee evaluation, and then you have to sign a tripartite between EDI, our incubation center, and the startup, and then finally fund get released. And you basically, this is very simple grant, and you just need a knowledge partner acceptance letter. You need not to have even a private limited company. You just get the UAM number, which is free. You can get it from, it is called Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. Or you can have a Startup India certificate. Both are online available for free. And then you should have a budget and then pitch deck to apply for the IUT application. And these are the 15 startups who have got the grant. In fact, yesterday we got 2 more startups added. That's why I said 17. And we are the first incubator in Tamil Nadu to enable such grants. But these 2 lakhs and 5 lakhs, if you see, would definitely help them to start. And then especially now faculties and the final year students can also apply. So anybody who wants to apply but the only thing is you should have your interest in Tamil Nadu to start this. So this is just a simple case study. Why I'm telling is that entrepreneurship, starting a startup is not a rocket science. Mr. Radhakrishnan's story is that he joined as a mechanical engineering student in 2013, and then he has registered, in ED Cell as one of the member, and then he gone through an entrepreneurship program. Then we also have an Abdul Kalam Innovation Center, which is a pre-incubation center. He participated in the center. He got 20,000 rupees seed grant. From there, he was shortlisted by a DSC. Then he incubated into CIC in 2019, and then he got rupees 5 lakhs grant. And then he won a MMH award sponsored by Kavin Care. It's one of the very prestigious award. He is a medical device startup. You see, he is a mechanical engineering, but he is making a medical device. And then he is being now supported with prototype, validation and clinical trials in Chettinad and Mehta's hospital through our support. So when he came and joined, he only asked that he needs hospital support and funding support. We could offer both. So that is how this incubation center will help. And this is just a quick idea about what the technical committee expectations from these type of grants. You should have a very clear-cut problem statement and solution. What is the target market and impact and the budget, as well as they look also the positive attitude from the startup founder. And that's where you will get this grant. And so now I have got a very brief overview about so far about what is startup ecosystem, what are various funding opportunities available at a central government level and state government level. Now I just want to run through a quick overview about what we have done in our incubation center. Excuse me. So the impact created, if you see, our incubation center is being funded by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, with a 1.8 crore fund. So the government also funds incubation center because they act as a nerve center. They are helping the startups. In a nutshell, I always say this incubation center not working only for the university, but also we work for the nation building. And we also recognize the European Commission. We connect our startups to European incubator, and then this European incubator will connect to the respective startups. Like that, we have connected our startups to Netherlands, we have connected our startups to Estonia, we connected our startups to France, and so on. So we have, if you see the startups category, we have student startup, faculty startup, and alumni startup, but we also admit startups, anybody from outside also. So these are the quick achievements. So our startup has raised almost 40 crores of private investment. As I told you, there are a lot of angel investors and venture capitalists are there. And our startups also raised 1.4 crore government grants so far. And then our startups have started billing, almost 41 crores of last year. Our put together all the 65 startups turnover. And we also support patents for university-related faculty and student patent. We also support startups to get a patent. And the government gives a lot of subsidy. For every patent writing, they give 10,000 rupees. Every patent, if you file, if you are registered as a startup, you will get 10,000 rupees subsidy. And also we provide the 10 lakh worth of online credits. I'll talk about in the subsequent slides. It's like we give credits like Amazon Web Services and Zoho. These are some software credits available for startups. We negotiate with the corporate and get it at free for 1 year so that they will start without any capital investment. And we have a lot of partnerships nationally, internationally, and then our startups have come up with the frugal solutions. This is what I highlighted during my previous slide. these 22 solutions are done by a startup who doesn't have any COVID, or any related stuff. They were doing it before COVID. But once COVID came, they were very so agile and adaptive. They changed and the solutions, to the current scenario. So this is what the USP of the startup. Of course, the startup and all measurable government measures only the employability. So through our startup, almost 450 people got an employment. So we focus on these areas, life sciences. It talks about agri, medtech, healthcare, nanotech, food technology, and then we also focus on various industry 4.0, which is IoT, and ML. So we have a startup spread across in these two areas. And mobility transportation is one of the very upcoming area where we are focusing now. We have a couple of startups already. And 5G and fintech. Fintech is the financial technologies, anything related to finance segment. And of course, 5G, as you know, is going to cut across all sectors. So these are all some areas where we are going to plan to focus in the future. But currently, we have more strength in life science and industry 4.0. So this is the startup breakup we have. As you see here, there are startups in the ideation, prototype, revenue, and growth. So what I'm trying to say here is, it's not every time you will have only idea stage level. And then we have a startups, mostly into prototype, and then some startups already making build revenue, but they still come to the incubator because they want to grow more, right? So still incubator helps. And this is, as I said earlier, we have 15 women, exclusive, founded and co-founded by women. And then we have various startups in the, as I said, life sciences around 31, industry 4.0 almost 27, and in mobility transportation, we have 7 startups. So these are the various facilities. We have 3D printers, we have state-of-art life science lab, and we have a studio where they can do the recording of their learning material and promotional videos and so on. We have a common meeting rooms and halls where they can occupy the modules. So this is our facility, what we have, various equipments and facilities what we have. So what we call this as triple M support. I think I already explained to you that this why startup fail is mainly because of the market, money, and mentor. So these are the 3 things we offer as a service. So for market, we give national and international support, government grants and private investments. And for mentoring, we provide both technical mentoring and business mentoring. We have a pool of mentors. I can show you at the end what are the pool of mentors we have. So these are the various startup government grants. Our startup received almost 1.4 crore government grants. And these are the various private investments from angel investors and venture capitalists raised by our startups. These are the various value creation done by our startups with these customer orders. These are the various mentor pool we have, life sciences. For life sciences, if you see, we have a biotech startup, we have an agri-tech startup, we have a doctors, and we have pharmacists, we have an herbal expert, and so on. Similarly, for industry 4.0, for various, for various industries, we have an mentors. These are all our business mentors. We have who can advise you on your taking your business front move forward on the financial projections and business planning and so on. So these are the various investment advisors, as you see from here, Chennai Angels. So we have a couple of investors itself on our board. So this is our great strength. We have a lot of angel investors sitting as an advisor for Business Innovation Council, and then they give advice on what is the interest from the investors, what are their requirements to our startups. So in nutshell, we are a one-stop shop startup services, starting from office space. So we have an exclusive 25,000 square feet incubation center in the Crescent University campus. So I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to come and see. Seeing is believing. And so we have an office space, lab space, plus we provide IPR services, as I said, 10,000 rupees pre-subsidy for startup for writing each patent, and various legal support, starting from company incorporation, tax, filing, everything we have an agent with us. So you can just, and that will be definitely cheaper than the market. You can also check, and if you find somebody who is giving less value, you can bring it down here. We can. So basically, what we are trying to say is, once you come here, it's like a one-stop shop. You need not to go out for any help and support. So these are the 10 lakh worth credits we are offering from our. See, what happened is some of the IT startup, they want only a laptop. They need this type of software credits. They sit at home. They develop the product. Okay, they don't need any capital investments. That's why if you see this industry 4.0 startup like IT, IoT, and AI-based startups, machine learning, they comes more because they don't need a capital investment. It's a more of intellectual engagement. So for them, they need a first 1 year or 2 year, this kind of software support. So almost AWS gives $5,000 credits, Zoho 1 year license free, and Freshworks gives almost $4,000 credits, and so on. We have so many other softwares available for free. So once you enroll as a CIC startup, you will get all these softwares free. So we also offer support for other incubation centers. It is called co-incubation support. That is, we give the support to other colleges, especially in the tier 2 and tier 3. If anybody wanted, because when we started, nobody there for us to help. So we said, and as well as government also now insisting an incubator like us to support other incubators, especially other colleges to set up incubators. So we do it as a cost, but we offer this as a more consultancy services for other incubators. So these are the various partnerships from the starting from government, your ecosystem partners. We have connected with various investors, like various businesses, international businesses, and so on. So we have made, as you said, the National Innovation and Startup Policy for students and faculty has been launched by the government and Ministry of Education, and we have implemented successfully in our institution. We have an incubation policy, faculty entrepreneurship policy, and then we also have a student entrepreneurship policy, and then IPR policy, and so on. So this is our startup conversion model. What we say is we have UG students and PG students, PhD and postdoc, and we have a faculty, and we bring the external mentor, internal mentor, and industry expert as a platform in CIC. So what we are looking is right now in academia, we published our faculty and students publish patents and publications. Then they stop with that, and right now the government is insisting to make product and startup. So what they call a cycle is patent to startup. So historically, if you see, we have entrepreneurship development cell, which does a lot of awareness campaign. And we have an APJ Abdul Kalam Innovation Center. It is more like a pre-incubation center. We start giving 5,000 up to 50,000 seed fund from our college and institution through Abdul Kalam Innovation Center to startups. And CIC is we started in 2018, which will help them to graduate more. So all this now under the umbrella of CIC. So we have, it is like a UG program, this is like a PG program, this is like a PhD program. So you at different levels you can get engaged with CIC. And so this is our success story. We have 14 startups funded through our Abdul Kalam Innovation Center, from 12,000 to 20,000 to 50,000. All the 4 of them, out of the 14, 4 of them have been converted into a full-fledged startup. So we have Vadhwani Foundation tie-up, where we'll offer social entrepreneurship 3 credit course, advanced entrepreneurship 3 credit course. So we provide the startup curriculum, startup knowledge, imparting the startup knowledge at curriculum level. We have given a credit course. So this social entrepreneurship credit course is given to all final year students. So that we are giving the spark, we are seeding that, we are throwing the seed, and then so that we water it and then grow it further as a plant. So these are the various revenue model for an incubation center. So the university supports us. Similarly, we get the government grant, and then we collect charges. So apparently, you may be asking, why are you doing so much? These things, the government gives a grant, university supports us. So we give a subsidized rental packages, what we call as incubation service package. So starting from 3,500, 7,500 and 12,500 depends upon the various things what you take, various equipment, facilities, what you need. And then we does a lot of trainings and workshops, consultancy and testing and co-incubation, which is offering support to other institutions. These are the various events we conduct. In fact, we did almost 100 plus seminars we did during the COVID time. Our startups are, the proof of the pudding is in eating. So our startups have received so many awards. In fact, two of our startups have received a Silicon Valley Tech Award. That is going 2-week sponsor program to Silicon Valley. And our startups have received Project Management Award. And we also getting a lot of recognitions. So we also set up a Center for Technology Transfer. In fact, the government of India, through this National Biopharma Mission, they have funded 500 crore jointly with World Bank to set up the technology transfer offices across India. So they want to train first the technology transfer candidates, the managers. So they had a selection process where I've been one of the privileged to get selected out of the 25 candidates selected national level. And I am the first one in Tamil Nadu to pass this RTTP. This is Registered Technology Transfer Program given by HTP USA. So this program was completely sponsored by Government of India, and their objective is to set up and establish this technology transfer center. So any technology transfer is mainly that help the startups and academic institutions like faculty and student to transfer their technology and idea to industry and commercialize. So our Center for Technology Transfer will do all the kind of support. In case if you need any such kind of support, please approach us. So these are various partnerships. Okay, now next 5 minutes I'll give you an overview about what is our future plan. So our future plan is to set up a bioengineering hub. So we already have a biotech center. Now we are setting up, we are historically an engineering college. So where we want to have a lot of applications. For example, now there is a civil engineering application. We have created a center of excellence for various things. So for example, in marine areas, the building corrodes. So for that, we have created a center for corrosion in concrete structures. So they basically, it's an application of biology in the civil engineering. So like that, we have various applications. We are creating a center of excellence. These are the various art of center of excellence we have. If you see Center for Life Science, Center for Business Coaching and Mentoring will provide a lot of mentoring clinic. In fact, our Nikat Madam, who is the Director HR, is also the Director for Center for Business Coaching and Mentoring. In fact, the pool of mentors, what we have 50 pool of mentors are mentoring our startups through this center. So basically, the center will provide them because most of the startups are mostly techies. So we'll help them. Center for Smart Manufacturing provide 3D printing, and I talked about Center for Prevention of Control and Correction in Concrete Structures. It's a more civil engineering applications. We also have a Center for Remote Sensing and GIS, where we application of drones and mapping and areas. Center for Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is more how do we bring technology intervention in village areas. And IPR is obviously support patents and trademarks. And Center for Technology Transfer, I just now talked about. Recently, we started a Center for Research in Precision Agriculture Rural Technologies to give more focus on agri-tech and rural startups. We have a tie-up with a 100-acre farm in Guruvanjeri, where we will offer even a land support for a startup to do their pilot studies. So these are various international collaborations starting from USA, Europe, and so on, where we help our startups if they want to have some soft landing, and we do startup exchange program between our incubators. So these are the various collaborations we have in UAE, Netherlands, USA, Canada, and Qatar, and so on. So we also have a partnership with CF Accelerator. I given you the difference between what is the incubator and accelerator in my first slides. And so we have tie-up with the CF Accelerator. One of our director, Mr. SM Buhari, has started this. This is situated in Dubai, and they help anybody who want to go to the Middle East and North African market. They will help, and then they will also help in reaching out to US market. So this is before matured startups. Once they graduate from incubator, they can go and join accelerator. We have tie-up with this accelerator. So this is the team behind. So we have various directors, board of directors. I am part of the full-time board director. So our registrar is also from the university representative, and then he is also a director. Then we have our trustees as part of our director. We also have board of advisors who are eminent experts. As I said, we have 3 angel investors on our board of advisors who will guide us our startups. So we have an executive team. We have incubation manager, technical manager, and then scientific officer, accounts, and dedicated startup coordinator. Then we have 2 admin executives. They all of them work full time for helping our 65 startups. Thank you. This has my mobile number and email ID. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask right now. And again, I thank Dr. Nikat Madam as well as FTA for providing this opportunity. Thank you.